wanted to do this one more video today about what happened yesterday and what has been ongoing since I came to Roanoke in '86, October '86. And this is political and deliberate. I ran in a political campaign to replace Larry McDonald, congressman, urologist from Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. I'd written about him in a book involving mind control and modifying behavior and programming people to go out and kill, different methods. They can take a plane down, etc., etc. And by the way, they can program people to commit suicide when it's really murder by mind control. So I was flown out to Flint, and I'm saying this because I did the book and had a letter from the FBI June the 23rd of '79 to give you some background. A letter from the U.S. Attorney Harper in Atlanta saying ongoing investigation, national security involved. I got this right up at my face. I'm pretty sick. Um, so I was flown out to Flint because he'd been shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia while I was doing the book. He was shot and his attorney killed March the 6th of '78. Now I want to jump ahead and to coming up here because after Flint furnished me a car and the year was up, it was turned back in, it was leased. And I was on the road, side of the road, literally, going from town to town begging for a place to stay. Now I want to remind you, and I put this on other tapes and back up, that I was kidnapped in '41, brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married to Childers. I had to use that name when, in fact, both twins, Carl and Peggy, were murdered by the mother. They were born out of wedlock. And I've put pictures on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram showing that family. And it was a horrifying existence. But I found out in '83 about my kidnapping and who my mom and dad are, and it's shocking the history was changed, and lies, total lies. 99-year seal put on my dad and my kidnapping. But I want to go to this because I put that up on other tapes. When I came here, I came in October and it was cold. I had no money. And a British lady had been on the bus, and I had to get off and get a ticket. The ticket wasn't far enough, and she spoke with me, and she said, told me my father was still alive." Well, I got in at 3 o'clock, freezing on the bus, and no money, and nothing for food, and nowhere to go, scared to death. And it was Trailways, and she was waiting there, which shocked me. And the only other person there was a ticket salesman and her. And she said to me, "We'll come back here and get you." Well, I started to cry, and I went in the restroom because I was so happy that maybe I'd get to go home in the future. And I came back out, and she was gone. But people were told not to help me. The police told them not to help me. And the silly part is, why did they do that? Because the police and the higher up FBI can get things on state and local police, and everybody has something to hide. And let's take who I'm going to talk about right now, if I can get this up on this. There was when I came here, somebody said I was shut down. I couldn't get a job. I was blacklisted. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't literally get a place to stay at all. So I ended up, somebody said, "Why don't you go up on the Appalachian Trail?" So I went up there, and it was cold and freezing, and I didn't have a sleeping bag or a tent when I went up there, but later I got it. And I lived up there, and I'd come down and find jobs, which was hopeless. I got live-ins a few times. So I'm going to fast forward to the fact that they began to spray me with chemicals, come up, and to, quote, shoo me away. And I found out that I'm allergic to chemicals, and I was diagnosed as having an immune disorder. When I'm around toxic fumes, my immune system attacks itself, and the inflammation, if you're subjected to toxic fumes over the years, just ruins your body, every organ in your body. So I can hardly even walk now, and I'm having trouble with my kidneys and lungs, really. And I really don't know the shape my liver or anything else is in. But so it's damaged me so much. But I camped a lot, and here's what happened. There was articles on me in the Roanoke Times back in, and then later when I started getting an income, they stopped. But they were half truths, mostly derogatory. They were lies. It's like framing me, just like they did my father. It's the odd thing that they could get away with it. And my children, I didn't know. I have never known where they are now. I hope they're alive, but of course I do. That's one of the reasons I lived, and hope I could pay back my country for not forgetting me. And some Americans that help. Most of them find it a joke. But in the paper, which was derogatory, and I can't get an attorney, a man I'd never met with the National Forest had I think it was a full page stating that, well, let me put it this way, it was total lies and defamatory and sent the wrong impression. But I don't think people even cared anyway. But I didn't know the man, and never heard of him. He was district ranger or something. So anyway, Eric Smith showed up, and Kathy Nichols, who was really over the agriculture, the forestry here, and Woody was one of the rangers, and they made my life a living hell. What happened was they deliberately kept me homeless, and then they would come around, and I did the trail. They'd run me, and I'd pull my tear my back up trying to find water. I'd carry gallons of water for miles and miles just to get it, to have a place to be. And anyway, the whole deal was to deliberately keep me homeless, and at the same time, the rangers would come, and when they did arrest me or give me a warning, it was using the national forest for a residential area. And they did lock me up 4 different times. And here's what happened. Like, he gave me a warning on March the 6th of, what was 04. And Larry Flint was shot March the 6th, 78. So you're getting into patterns that I've told a lot of the mind control murders were done in, which I wrote about in Atlanta, and that I was talking about. And Larry Flint was one of them that was shot and his attorney killed. And I'm not going to get this up, and I wanted to, but I should live in Buckingham Palace. And I was brought over here, and I lived in a pigsty growing up. Given another name, I have had every crime in the book done to me. And the forestry, they're the ones that's broken the law. It's not just been there. I've been run, and I've told over and over that on August the 14th of '09, retired state trooper Carl Barton and his wife brought me down to Affordable Corporate Suites, and they paid the security deposit with a credit card. I stayed there 17 months inhaling fumes that would kill a horse, all right, much less me. And his wife said to me when she left me, this is how we make you move and run you with chemicals. Well, they've made my word no good. So anyway, I'm telling you this because over the years it's destroyed me. It's a horror, and nobody will touch it or stop it, or even make the attempt. And I had not been up to the Appalachian Trail because I actually got to where I could, and I've gotten so bad off. But I had a place, and I've done everything to keep it, even though I had to endure the toxic fumes just to have a roof over my head. And I'd move when I could not take any more. And then I'd hit the same thing. It never stopped. And it makes people don't want to hear it, all right? It's not that they don't believe it, because I keep enough on me, and people around here all know. I've tried to leave and been forced to come back. Now then, the last few days, to tell you what they can do to you, law enforcement and people will go along with it. Let's take the Rangers. They can get people who come out and they hunt. They can deny them license, or I don't know if the state controls that part or not, but that you're law enforcement again. But if kids are out